Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's me, Joseph. As you can tell, I'm in a different room today. Yep, I'm in my bedroom. You probably can see that blanket right there, or that pink stuff. That's just my blanket on my bed. Alright, anyways, let's get to today's video. And what I feel like talking about today is what I wish I would have learned when I was younger that I learned throughout time. Alright. So one of the first things I wish I would have learned when I was younger is about investments. And I know in one of my previous videos I talked a little bit about investments. So what I mean by what I wish I would have learned is I wish they would have taught us the history of investments. I wish they would have taught us about the whole process of it, about like why it's important for the economy. I just wish that there would have been a subject on it, like they push math. It could have been in economics or something, like they had like that home ad, this would have been perfect to put in there, like they talk a lot about college and they talk a lot about finding a job, and those were like the two dominant things they talk about when it comes to like, you know, life outside of high school. It was always college, it was always you gotta go and get a good job. They had career fairs. I wish they would have had investment fairs where you could talk to top investors or whoever volunteered for the school, and they would have just kind of gave you an idea of what it is, so that when you became an adult you would have had an idea of what it was, at least some basic information on it. You would have automatically knew what a dividend was. You would have automatically knew what volatility was, and you would have automatically knew what index funds meant and a REIT and all of these different topics, like that's something that, like I still don't know a lot about, and I'm learning every day. And how I learn is by putting a little here and putting a little there and just keeping my eyes on it, and I have to learn it that way. But it would have made that a lot easier if I would have learned some of it in school. All right, so that's the first thing that I wish I would have learned. Now, another thing that I wish I would have learned is about fitness and health. And what I mean is there are multiple elements. The first element is I wish that I would have been taught about the nutritional facts on the back of the paper. I wish they would have taught us about calories. I wish I would have learned about calories. I wish I would have learned about what a trans fat is, what saturated fat is, what unsaturated fat is. I wish I would have learned what a carb was and all of these different elements. I wish I would have learned what each ingredient meant. I just wish that the educational system would have done better providing this information. And what I mean is, like, I'm not saying that the educational system wasn't good. I'm saying that the information was limited, and I get it, but I just wish that I would have learned these things personally. It would have made my life a heck of a lot easier. There would have been seasons in my life that I would have been able to avoid. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's something I wish I would have learned. And the part two of that is I wish I would have learned that working out and exercising isn't a cure for obesity or being overweight. A lot of people are like, what? And I'm like, yeah, really, it isn't. You know why it isn't? Because you can exercise until you're blue in the face, but if you're still eating a gazillion calories, you would gain a ton of weight. And don't get me wrong, exercising is good, but exercising doesn't give you the toned body. All exercising does is, it tears down and builds up muscle. But you can have a whole bunch of muscles and scale. You can have a whole bunch of muscles and still have a big belly. You can have a whole bunch of muscles and still have man boobs. You can have a whole bunch of muscles and still have a double chin. You can have a whole bunch of muscles and it be layered over with fat. like, and another thing on that is I wish that I would have learned more about what a healthy diet looks like, because yes, yes, there are more to a diet than calories, but calories is the foundation of a healthy diet because you can eat avocados and you can eat almonds and all the healthy foods and overdo it and still be just as fat as someone who ate McDonald's every day. It's true. And it's the harsh reality of it, but it's true. So I wish I would have just learned all of those things. I think I would have saved myself a lot of pain, and a lot of like struggling and yo-yoing when it comes to weight. And another thing I wish I would have learned when I was younger is I wish I would have learned just how hard it actually is to socialize, make friends, and build a community as an adult. It's like almost impossible. It's like even in the biggest cities, you would think that a big city with all the people, everyone would find some community, but it's so hard. It's like the bigger the place is, the harder it becomes. It's like, um, you know what it's like. You have your businessmen, you have the people who put the gel in their hair, who don't really look at people who work in fast food. It's just all of these different elements. There's like, in some levels, like people who won't talk to you unless you're their ethnicity or their race. There are people who won't talk to you unless you work at the job. There are people, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of division in this world, and as an adult, it's just so much more clearer. It's like it's hard to find any friends. Like even in church, you would think church was the saving grace, but on a lot of occasions, people are more isolating in church than anywhere. It's like, oh, you watch movies, we can't really hang out with your type. Oh, you got angry today. That's not really appropriate for our community. Or they'd be like, whoa, you work a low wage job? Well, I really don't feel like you're doing what the Lord has for you in your life, so I can't really associate with you. Or, oh, you're awkward and you're shy. Well, there's no place for people like that in God's kingdom. Like I'm only here for a certain type of ecstatic. I'm here to hang out with the popular people. I'm here to hang out with the people with money, and I'm here to hang out with the pretty girls. That is what most people in church are like. And I know that sounds like a huge diss, but it's not a diss, it's just a reality. They know they're like that, I know they're like that, and it's just the way the world works. You know, it's easy to get what you want when you're pretty. It's easy to get what you want when you're not a black guy. Just say it like that. And I know that that can be controversial, and maybe that offends somebody, but hey, you know what offends me is when the world turns its back on me and tells me that I'm a piece of shit. So yeah. And another thing I wish I would have learned when I was younger is, you know, um, learn that it's okay to not follow the trend. Like, and it's okay to have days wherein you feel ugly and disgusting. It's okay to feel unattractive some days. It's not necessarily unhealthy. Sometimes it's that little kick that you need to get you back out there and get you back on the horse. It's okay to have days when you feel like you fell and you feel like your whole world's falling apart. I wish I really would have learned that when I was younger, that it's okay to have disasters happen in your life. It's actually a part of life. It's those defining moments that puts you over to get you motivated to do something different with your life. Like, that is the biggest thing I wish I would have learned. It would have freed me from a lot of mental strain, like constantly living in this world feeling like you have to be just like everyone else, feeling like you have to be successful right now, feeling like you have to be whatever these trends are. You have to be pretty. You have to have a six pack. You have to have that chiseled jaw. You have to have a certain aesthetic. You have to have your hair cut, and you have to have your beard trimmed, and you have to just look like that look. Otherwise, you're nothing. Like, and I just wish that I learned earlier that none of that matters. Like, what matters is that when you go to bed at night, that you love yourself and you realize that, you know, you're doing better than you did yesterday, and you realize that, yes, I might not be where I want to be, but I am okay with being in this stage of my life. And even though I'm okay with being in this stage of my life, I'm still going to work every day to just do a little bit better tomorrow, while also being okay with being in the stage of life that I'm in. Like, that is the biggest thing I wish I would have learned. And thank you guys so much for just sitting here and listening to me talk about some things I wish I would have learned when I was younger. Yeah, so I appreciate you guys. If you enjoy this video, feel free to subscribe, drop a like, give me a comment. Like, also, what are some things that you guys would want me to talk about? Like, I know that for the past videos I just kind of been playing it by ear, but I want to get you guys involved. Like, give me some topics to talk about, and I will incorporate them into my videos. Like, I really want this to be more of an authentic channel, a raw channel where I'm not scripting anything, where I'm not trying to give off a certain lifestyle that I don't have, but where I'm just being myself, talking, expressing, and hopefully encouraging or at least entertaining you guys, because that's just what I want to do. This is a hobby for me, and it's also a way that I can take control of my mental health, because mental health is very important. And a lot of people don't talk about mental health because it's one of those things that are messy. But, like, I'm never going to hide that. Like, I think it's important that, we realize that, what you see on the screen isn't perfection. What we see on the screen is as flawed as the other individual next to us, as flawed as the person on a bus or on a train or walking down the street or in the grocery store. We are all flawed individuals. And it's a freeing feeling when you watch a video and you're told that it's okay to be flawed by another flawed individual in the video. I think that is deep. So, alright, this is where I'm going to end the video. I appreciate you all, your support. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching the video and giving me a few minutes out of your day. I appreciate that. It doesn't go unnoticed. Alright, until next time, you all have a good day. Peace.